Carlson,
Here.
Cindy Garrity, Debbie Knopf,
Debbie, you're on mute. You're on mute, Debbie. There you go.
Did we get Debbie?
She's on mute. At least I'm showing that she's on mute.
I am too.
Yeah, me too.
Debbie, you're on mute.
Chris,
she's
can you override that?
Here,
Hi, Debbie.
I disappeared for a while.
And
I got
Nicole.
lost.
I'm here as well. We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
And
one
a nation under God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice for
liberty and justice for all.
all.
Linda, can you confirm the posting of today's meeting?
I can confirm that today's meeting was posted at all designated locations.
We need an approval of our agenda.
So moved.
Also second.
We have a motion by Glenn, a second by Larry. All those in favor?
Aye.
We got here ayes.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do we have any public comments?
No.
We have none here in writing at the school. Do we have any from the audience virtual?
Or just the thank you notes.
You have virtual thank you notes?
Oh, there were 2 thank you notes in our agenda.
Okay, let me go back into board docs. Public comments. We have a thank you card from the Berkschneider family. Bayfield School District family, thank you for reaching out regarding the passing of my dad. That's a thank you donation to Child's Wish. He really enjoyed bringing kids fishing, so he would appreciate that. Dad loved his years teaching at Bayfield. The friendships lasted long past retirement. For many of you who don't know, my dad was a bit of a prankster and loved the supernatural. So don't be shocked if or when lights start flickering, doors open mysteriously, or supplies somehow move. It's just Mr. B visiting you again, the family of Berkschneider. Mr. B. And we have from the Mackey family. Dear friends, thank you so much for the donation made to Northern Lights in honor of our dad. They are having a bench made in his honor. The rest will go to activities. Harold's family.
Do you mind if I say hello?
Who is this?
This is Rebecca Zalent, Becky Zalent. I don't know if you see me on the screen.
We do. Hello, Becky.
I'm the new executive director at the Rec Center. And just wanted to say hello, and I'm looking forward to the collaborations that we have since the school district is really in charge of the building, et cetera. And couldn't make it to the last meeting and just wanted to say hello and meet you fine folks. And I hope it's okay. I'll go on mute so I don't interrupt you, but there's no stopping up at the school. You know? So it's the way I could say hello.
Thank you, Becky, for joining the meeting. You're welcome to stay.
Okay,
Nice to meet you, Becky.
thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Glenn.
Meet you, Becky.
Esme, is that how you say your name?
Yes, it is.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Nice to meet you.
Yep, nice to meet you.
This is Jeff.
And Jeff. Oh, the famous Jeff.
I don't drive cars anymore.
We'll move on. 1.7 on our agenda is the meeting minutes from June 18th and minutes from June 2nd.
Motion to approve?
Second,
We have a motion by Deb, second by Esme. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 2.1 on our agenda this evening, effective communication from Jeff.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. All right, so continuing on with our strategic plan, one of the pillars we have is effective communication. And tonight I want to introduce to you, to the board and to the public, we are finally looking to revamp our website. So for a lot of you who have been working with our website or else looking at our website for information over the years, it's been pretty general. But I'm happy to say tonight, Chris Plansky and his program, along with you know, the administrators and teachers and staff, we're looking to upgrade our website. And Chris will chime in here later, talk about some things. But I wanted to hit on a couple areas for you, the board members and public. So our current website, I don't want to say it's obsolete, but it's awful close to being that way. With our phones here and our tablets that we use, particularly for virtual meetings, this particular website will be upgraded to be able to accommodate more devices, to accommodate downloading items of that nature. It will also be ADA compliant in terms of the usage. In terms of board docs, for instance, our agenda tonight, when you're off-site and you're using your phone somewhere off-site or your tablet or your regular laptop, this particular website will have more adaptations for you to get clearer information for you to access. So that's a good thing. It's going to offer more design on the front of the page. This current website we have is very restrictive. So if you wanted to add another title or another area on the website, Chris always said in the past that we're very restrictive on what we could put on there. We only could put so much stuff on it. But the new upgrade will allow more items for us to see, more featured articles. If there's a message of the day, we'll be able to prompt it on the website. Current announcements, those types of things. More news items on the website, more stories, just a better version of what we have now. So in terms of communication, this will be a good start for us coming into the fall, particularly with virtual school. Once we go back to blended learning, that the website upgrade will be probably a blessing for a lot of us in terms of how we want to communicate to the public. Chris, did I miss anything?
No, I think that covers it all. Just to clarify a little bit, the part where it works better on your phone, it's called responsive design, so that the web page will actually reformat based upon what sort of device you're on. If you try to use our current site on a phone, it's sort of a nightmare. You spend a lot of time scrolling around and zooming in on things. So that was the big reason. And Jeff was right. We do have some more options as far as putting stories and featured items on the front page. Currently, everything is in the announcements column. It all gets jumbled together, whether it's snow day or COVID or a wrestling meet or whatever. It all gets thrown together. So we'll be able to feature some more stories, some of the big highlights of the district and some of the more important stories that are going on. So look forward to the change.
And I'll just add one more area for our Infinite Campus for our parents. If our parents are checking in on their students' profiles and their grades and their attendance, the phone be more accessible for them to do that, and they should have a clearer picture of what's going on. So it'll be an asset for us also. All right. Timeline, Chris, is that this summer?
We'll be working on it this summer. The timeline as rolled out by CMS for Schools, who's setting this up, is October. There's a lot of design work to be done. I'm trying to accelerate that as much as possible. I was hoping for September 1st, but things get really crazy for me once August starts. So I think October is a reasonable expectation. Another thing we're doing with this site, the last time we did an upgrade, which was probably, I don't know, must have been 5 years ago or more. I know Dave Aslan was there. The last time we just moved over all of our content from the old site. So as a result, we've got years and years of old board reports and newsletters that we don't produce anymore. Lunch menus, just a whole mess of junk that it makes it really hard on the back end of things for me and Linda and the other website supporters to sort through. So we're going to start fresh with this site, start out organized, and just have a lot fewer files to deal with. And it'll keep us from breaking stuff as we move along.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Chris, I know there's a price tag for this. Is this contracted out, or are you doing this in-house? The actual setup. I mean, we'll do actually the administrative part of it in terms of articles and those types of things and schedules, activities.
The design template and the design work that goes on is done by CMS for Schools. That's our hosting company. There'll be $3,900 for this. This is one of their premium themes. Has more features than their basic themes, and really it's what we really need to do this. And then the actual setting up of the content, since we're doing it from scratch, I'll be doing most of that. I'm sure Linda will be willing to lend a hand on that, but I'm going to keep it to as few people as possible, just to have the, so I can work through how we're going to organize things. That'll make it easier for people to do it in the future. It'll all fit into a framework.
Thanks, Chris. Any other questions?
Chris, this is Glenn. Do you have any plans to archive all of that old stuff somehow?
No, I do not have. It's most of it started out as digital information that was produced elsewhere. So I'm sure it's all available other places. The board reports and things like that are all, we have a service that scans those and archives them. So anything with legal importance is scanned and archived by another vendor that does that for us. As far as other things, a lot of it's just throwaway stuff, just, flyers for this event or that event. And the old newsletters, they're stored by whoever originally created them. I'm sure has copies. Is there anything in particular that you're looking at keeping?
No, just
Okay.
curious. But over here on the island, Chris, I will tell you that they have the town board minutes going back to 1850.
Wow.
The originals
Mm-hmm.
in the basement. So yeah, I mean, they don't throw anything away ever. So I'm just kind of curious what our thoughts on that are.
Yeah, Linda works with the archiving service, and those things are, I know that we send them paper copies, I think, but they're scanned and turned into probably PDFs, and they host them on their site, so that if we need them for a legal discovery, we just go to their vault and pull them out.
Thank you.
Glenn, I am talking with them this week, actually. Superior Documents.
Thanks.
Mhm.
No, we just look forward to an upgrade on our website. I think, again, going back to the parent portal, going back to those types of things. I guess we'll be up to par as we should be with how we disseminate information publicly. And our website will be the first spot typically people go to. So we're looking forward to it.
Sounds great.
Okay, are you turning back down? Okay. All right. 3.1 on our agenda. Are there any future agenda items? (3.2) Finance Committee. We met last Thursday. We covered the vouchers. We covered end of year projections and some funding requests from the administration. We discussed considering covering the cost of the health insurance increase that we'll be discussing in executive this evening. The LaPointe School meal bid for next school year. Request from the BEA teacher union. The original building roof repair options. Compensation for summer reentry planning committees. And then the annual compensation for our teaching staff, our administration and non-affiliated, and our support staff. Shawamigan United teacher members. I believe all of those items are on the agenda tonight. We did cover that in part of the end of year projections. We covered the hot water heater. 3.3 Policy Committee. Was anybody there?
Yeah.
I was there and Larry was
I
there.
was there.
I'm just trying to review quickly. It was a pretty short meeting. We discussed basically setting up a meeting to go over the 40 new suggestions that Neola put in place. So I think we need to sit down together, Cindy, Larry, and I, Jeff, and whoever else, and just sit down and look at all the recommendations for the changes. We didn't get into them a whole lot yet. Jeff, was there anything I'm missing?
Yeah, so we're going to meet in 2 weeks. We're looking at Monday, I think it's July 2nd. And we have two new policy committee members, Esme and Larry. And there you go. How's that? Better?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to meet in a couple of weeks. I believe July 2nd is Monday. We have two new members, Esme and Larry, along with Cindy. And what we're going to do, Chris Petrito, our Neola representative for policy, we're asking him to join us. There were 40 updates we want to go over. We want to work with the committee on those updates, go through them. They have now until then, they have a couple weeks to review them. That's why we're doing it on July 2nd. That'll give everybody time to take a peek. And then we'll just go through them. Also under the policy committee, if you look at the public content, there's a toolkit use of social media. That's a big item for us. It's a basically it's a toolkit to get through a process so our school and the school board can develop or will develop a social media policy. And it's not a one-page item. It's very comprehensive in terms of First Amendment rights, legal, verbal, how to, technology use, what's proper, what's improper. Those are things that we're going to look at as a policy committee to bring forward to the school board on social media in terms of Facebook use, in terms of technology use within the building for staff and students. So it's pretty comprehensive. So the policy committee will be looking at that also. There's also on there, consider wellness policy. Missy Giesrigen, we're going to be doing that at the next meeting in July. There's some touching up to do on that one. Schools statewide, we're required to have a wellness policy on board and we'll bring that forward to the policy committee and school board in July. And then we talked about the part-time rollover request due to COVID. We're asking that tonight we'll talk about personal leave and vacation leave for staff to be rolled over 1 calendar year. We're going to talk about that later. And then, of course, we have a presentation the principals put together and myself put together staff parent community survey results. Missy Giesberg and Shelley did a nice job on putting together. Missy put together the PowerPoint with guidance from Shelley and myself. We're going to talk about that tonight towards the latter part of the meeting. And I think we'll go over the survey results for the board. And that's pretty much it for policy.
Jeff, I have just one question. That toolkit for the use of social media, is that a Neola product or is that something separate from Neola?
That is I believe it's a Neola. I think it's Neola. We received it from Chris Petrito. Linda, is that correct? I want to make sure, but policy 7544, I believe, is a Neola policy.
Yes, it is, and it's available online. If you go into your Neola policies there, you should see it.
Thank you.
You
Well,
bet.
Wellness committee, did the wellness committee meet?
We did. We had a great meeting, I thought, working on, and if Missy's on, I'll let her talk because she really kind of led that meeting. And I found it to be really effective. And we have another meeting coming up to continue to work on our action plan on Thursday, June 25th at 3:45. She just sent an invite out about that. But yeah, it was a really great meeting.
Yeah, we just started looking at some tools to help guide our work that are a little more comprehensive, more at the national level. So we went through a couple assessment tools. One was on more of that social, emotional, mental health, and trauma sensitive work, which was a great conversation. And the other piece was on that nutrition, wellness, cafeteria area. So we do have those results. We'll use those standards as kind of our guiding work for our action plan. But DPI has also put out 2 things that we need to do. And that's what next Thursday's meeting is all about, is we have to update that policy. Now that we're with Neola, we don't have a wellness Neola policy. So we'll have to look at that next week. It's pretty comprehensive. We just need to narrow it down to what we want to focus on. And along with that, we will do a triennial assessment. I completed a waiver, so we don't have to complete it. This year we have a year to complete it, so that'll be an item on our action plan, but the team can take a peek at that and I'll walk them through that.
Moving on, 4.1 through 4.6 are our administrative reports. Is there any discussion? Anybody?
Well, I was impressed with Missy's report on, and especially the attachment was a lot of data. And so thank you for the effort to put that together.
Yeah, I was still trying to figure it out. It's great. It's a great report. So, but I need to keep digging through it.
Yeah, so that achievement gap reduction, it was formerly known as SAGE, and I wanted to put that on there for the new board members so they understood what that meant. It's to reduce our class sizes. There actually are 3 things that you can do with that funding, but it allows school districts to receive some state funding to support 3 different areas of focus, whether it's one-on-one tutorial instruction, as I included in there, the 18-to-1 teacher ratio, or instructional coaching. We of course focus on that 1-to-18. We don't necessarily have to, but that's what we have done. And that data has to be reported to the state twice a year. And then I have to finish out a report at the end of the year, which I did yesterday. Just, we have to focus on our data, our low income, how many students are in each class, and then how many of them were low income, because that's how they formulate the funding.
So Missy, the numbers that were listed in the one column, 13 of 28, or that's just reflecting your percentage that is your
Yep.
goal or your objective.
Yeah, so we have to have benchmarks or objectives that we report out that are kind of those essential learning targets in each of those grade levels. And we have to show, is this effective having that 1-to-18 ratio? And of course, with that COVID, that's why they wanted a COVID statement this time around, because they knew there were going to be some difficulties. And so they're just trying to collect data too at the state level.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the comment about the COVID and kind of the declining engagement by parents and students over the course of the weeks.
Yeah, it's certainly, we certainly saw that, especially as the weather turned and became nicer. There was definitely a decline in engagement and participation.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Motion to approve reports 4.1 through 4.6.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Debbie and a second by Glenn to accept the administrative reports. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 5.1 vouchers.
I'll move that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $511,406.61.
Second.
We have a motion by Glenn, a second by Larry. We have a roll call, please, Linda.
Magdalene Dale,
Here, yes. Yes.
Larry Derrigan,
Yes.
Debbie Knopf,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Glenn Carlson,
Yes.
Esme Martinson.
Yes.
Motion carries. 7.1 end of year projections and funding requests. You have Randy taking that, Jeff?
Yes, go ahead, Randy.
Thank you. So this is just a breakdown of what we feel we'll have left over at the end of the year. Again, it's a very fluid situation. There's some variables that we just don't quite know yet. And then with the roofing project being probably pushed back to next year now because there was no bids, that amount will get tweaked again too. So for the funding requests, we're looking at a freezer of about $40,000. Karen needs some additional space in there because it looks like, it's going to be a lot different next year. A hot water heater for $18,000. We're looking at replacing our John Deere tractor with one with a scoop so that we can clear snow more easily. Also, we have a 2008 replacement for a bus, some storage sheds for the equipment or for the playground equipment so that the equipment can stay right out on the playground and the teachers don't have to bring it back and forth. Then the rest of the year payrolls for the school year staff and the full year staff. We're looking at $125,000 for miscellaneous AP for in June and July. So we're projecting, if you approve the funding needs and then all of the transfers to Fund 27 and Fund 50, that we would still have a projected balance of $131,000. Now I kind of looked too to see, we were way under budget in substitutes this year, obviously, because of the, closing of the school. We were under by about, I want to say $140,000 there. And then also we were $120,000 under budget too, because of the budget where we pay staff for meetings and different things like that. That was under by $120,000 this year. Also, Dave Weber has about $300,000 left in his budget that he hadn't spent yet. So there was a lot of areas. Transportation too was up. Wasn't spent. We hadn't spent all of our transportation budgets, mainly because of field trips being canceled and Water Week being canceled. So all of those things go into having this projected balance. So any questions on that?
Thank you, Randy.
Just on the roofing, are we not going back to rebid or what's?
I have a meeting with John Grazina on Wednesday. He is, okay. So we're working on that. I haven't got it yet. I was pretty disappointed on Thursday. I really was. I went home with my.
And we do have that coming up in the meeting too at 7.3, an update on that.
But I'm working on it. And I got a meeting on it.
Randy, we had talked about it at the finance
Questions from the
meeting.
board?
I'm sorry. We had talked about at the finance meeting, doing some sort of allocation by the end of this year to the, by June 30th. Perhaps another 500,000. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
Yes, we would still be doing that because obviously we wouldn't be able to do the roofing project until after July 1st. But we have until the end of July to put that money into Fund 49 for those expenses.
Oh, we do. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
we have end of July. Yeah. So once everything is paid for and we have a number, then we can come forward with a more hard number on what we're going to put in there.
And that would be then, as far as the auditors, that would be done as of June 30th.
Correct. Yeah.
Let us
Yeah,
do that as of June 30th. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
What are the other items, Randy, besides what you've brought forward? Because even if there's 131,000 balance, what are the needs beyond what you've given us? I'll look at Dave. He probably has a big long list.
Are we going to approve the water heater?
Do you need action on some of these items?
Yes, we need the action on the items that haven't gone to the board, like for example, the bids, the water heater, the Traverse, and the bus. Those for sure we need actions on.
And the tractor?
And the tractor, yes, sorry. I didn't have.
For the 4 items.
Yeah.
I hope we'll bring something up about the rec center. I know it's under the 10,000, but it's a change in the bill.
We have to remember that anything we purchase out of this school year, money has to be completed by June 30th. So that's where we run into problems. So I'm thinking even if we carry forward $130,000 into fund balance
Yes.
for next year, that might help us with some funding cuts that we might be looking at the state level for next year. We just don't know how state funding is coming. I've heard some projections that they want to cut funding to schools by like 25% next year.
Well, we have the rec center, so they building. So how much was
Okay, so Dave has a recommendation here from the rec center. It's a change of the building, so that's why he brought it forward to the committee, or to the board, I'm sorry. On this one, it's $2,100, Dave, does that seem correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem though with this one is it's got to be completed by the 30th, which if it's not, we would roll it over to the next budget year after July 1.
According to Randy, there's still money in the budget for this.
Could they complete it by the
I
30th?
don't think I'm completed, but we could sign it and get them to bill it before that.
Why don't we let Randy work on that? Yeah. Yep. Randy, could we get that done if we approve it and then get moving on it? Can we use this year's money?
No, it has to be completed by then.
Okay, so there's a.
Yeah, I can work something out.
To July 1, which is
Yep,
okay.
Yeah.
Randy, I'm gonna jump in here and say something. This for Esme and Magdalene's benefit is really kind of managing the optics and not necessarily wanting to show that we have a $130,000 profit essentially for the year. And what is it that we can spend that we would have spent next year anyhow, that we could spend this year and not show that we actually made more than, and Randy has pointed out, very, very reasonably why we ended up with that. And that is that, we didn't spend all of these budgets that, and the roofing is a really good example. So that's kind of, I think, if I'm kind of doing that, Randy, have I explained that all wrong?
Nope, that was perfect, Glenn. Thank you.
Makes sense.
We need action on the 4 items then, guys, the water heater, the tractor, the vehicle, and the bus.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Larry and a second by Glenn. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Larry Derrigan,
Yes.
Magdalene Dale,
Yes.
Debbie Knopf,
Yes.
Glenn Carlson,
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd.
Yes. Our motion carries. 7.2, consider support staff retirement. Mr. Thayer.
This is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve. He's been a really good staff person for the alt ed kids.
I'll
Am I
second.
allowed, I was gonna say, am I allowed to second if I'm related to him? Stay out of it.
We have a motion by
Yes.
Deb to accept Tony's retirement and a second by myself. And we please make sure he gets a rocking chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
I
1.3, original building roof repair options. Kind of discussed those a little bit, and Dave filled us in that he's gonna meet next week.
He's gonna reword it to where. people are
Can we
gonna-
get Dave to a mic?
Okay, Deb, can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yep.
All right, he's gonna reword it. He put it down as a roofing project. Now we're gonna put it kind of under like a general contractor. Where a general contractor will get a roofing guy and carpentry crew here. And that, he's got a couple of people interested, and I meet with him 10 o'clock on Wednesday. If any of the Building and Grounds Committee want to show up then, or you're more than welcome.
Yeah, can you send me, or just give me that date and time again?
10 o'clock on this Wednesday. It'll be the 17th, 10 o'clock.
Okay. I'm at work, but I'll do my best to sneak away for a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
Mhm. Dave, why weren't there any bids? He put it out, but nobody.
Well, he thinks he not screwed up, but he put it out as a roofing bid. You know, so they thought it was only roofing, but there is some carpentry work, you know, with dormers and some metal work.
Right.
And, so he's kind of rephrasing it as a contractor's job where they can hire the roofer and you know, use their carpentry.
Okay.
Not only that, we're having the guy come for the regrouting of the sandstone.
Okay,
So that guy will be here also.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? Oh, you gotta mute.
Yep.
Speakers mute,
Yeah.
okay. 7.4 on our agenda is pandemic update and staff parent community survey results.
Okay, I will be happy to. And then I want to introduce to the board and to the community tonight our principals, Missy Giesregan and Shelley Swanson. At the last board meeting, the board requested an update in terms of a couple things. Number one, really focusing on parent survey and teacher survey prior to teachers leaving for the summer, which would have been Thursday, the 11th, which was their last day, last Thursday. And second to that was having an engagement with staff, teachers, with parents over the virtual learning program, the success of the program, what's working, what's not working, but the board really wanted that information prior to everyone leaving. After the board meeting, I got together with the principals. We put together a plan, and they did, in my view, an exceptional job here, what they're going to present tonight. And hopefully it's items that you're interested in. And we'd like to hear from the board tonight after this presentation, what more you would like. Later this evening in executive, we're going to talk about the two areas that we discussed at the last meeting, which was the committees to look forward to a blended virtual program in the fall, which is the continuance of virtual learning online for kids. And then, of course, professional development for staff this summer. So right now, without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Missy and Shelley, and then I'll interject myself as we move forward here. And I believe Missy sent everybody on your Gmail the PowerPoint. So you may have to go back into your Gmail if you have your computer on. She did send it via your email. Missy or Shelley?
Missy or Shelley, are you guys set up to share your screen?
Yes, I can share.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because then everybody listening, if they want to see it. And...
Sure, I can give this a try.
Okay, I'm gonna run to the bathroom really quick.
Let's see if I can put this in a presentation view. How is?
I'm muted. Me? Okay.
All right, would you like me to wait until Magdalene returns? Otherwise, I'll get started.
Yeah, get started.
So the survey, we have 265 families within the district. 141 of those families completed the survey, which equates to 53% response rate, which in the kind of turnaround that we had, I think is pretty good, considering that it was only a couple of days or 3 days that we had asked staff to jump on board of this project to get this information for us. I'm trying to do this so I can't see. Okay, so it's pretty self-explanatory as you go through this. As I said, as Jeff had indicated, I had emailed this to all staff as well as the board here. So just how many students participated and get a sense of the number of students school age that were in each household completing the virtual learning program. 42%, there was one child, 2 and 33%. And then you can see as we go up, 15 to 9% had 3 or more children in the home. What grades did they attend? So I like how the kindergarten group, there were a high number of families that had kindergartners. But this kind of gives you a sense of what grade levels they attended. So we had a nice mix, but you can see that many of these parents that responded were elementary folks, had elementary students. Who was most responsible for managing or helping your child or children with their remote learning? Moms.
Wow.
High number of moms. And you'll see further down, I broke down the short answer responses to the top 3 kind of consistent messages we were receiving. And it was interesting, those moms that did say that they were helping either scaled back their work schedule to support or weren't the ones working at that time too. So that was interesting information. Reliable internet, most folks did. Now this red piece, if we were live inside the survey, you could see that this was about 13 households. So that was what we had originally gauged or had a sense of. So that was kind of spot on. Those were about 13 families that did not have either enough broadband to support the number of computers in the house or just didn't have internet access, period. How satisfied are you with the virtual learning process? As you can see here, this big piece combines about 50%, or a little over 50% was very satisfied to satisfied, and somewhat satisfied over here. And then this little sliver showing the dissatisfaction. So not really dissatisfied with it. So that's a good thing to hear and see. If they found it easy to manage their child's virtual learning program, about 44% agreed, 20% somewhat agreed to it. And as you can see, these little slivers over here, again, are that somewhat disagree, and strongly disagree. So not really an overwhelming response to saying that it wasn't easy to manage. Virtual learning program is requiring too much of parents. So as you can see, strongly agrees that dark blue, agree, somewhat agree, neither agree or disagree. So there was no real opinion one way or the other about it. And then here on over, you can see the disagree to somewhat disagree. So a little bit of a mixed, not quite sure how to read that other than some families are one way and some families are the other, whether it was too much of a requirement or not. This one is all about the student. Was a virtual learning program requiring too much of students? So that strongly agree, again, to the agree and somewhat agree. Very small, neither agree or disagree. And then here's our disagreeing and strongly disagree. Was it consistent across grade levels? We wanted to hear from parents if they felt if they had kids in multiple grade levels, was there consistency across the grades, teachers? And again, you can see here this piece going over to the orange, kind of that agreement, strongly agree to agree. So about 44%, 50, and then here's our disagreeing, somewhat disagree or neither disagree or not. If school were back in session in the fall as usual, how likely would you send your child to school? Majority would. So you're not a majority, I shouldn't say that, 50%. So we're looking at half of our students, or closer to the 60% side. And then not sure, as you can see this big piece, you know, in the summary piece where they responded, it was just up in the air. Many of them said in the event that it all depended on where we were at with the vaccine, where things stood from the state CDC level. So those were some of the short answers that we received. And then I just summarized it, and I will send you the short. I did send the staff the 120 responses that some of the family members had indicated in the short answers, and I'll send that to the board as well. But what, if anything, would you change about our school district's virtual learning program? Just the top 3 things that kind of were a repeat comment that I saw as a common theme. There were 109 individual responses. The top areas for change were as follows. Parents should have a checklist, weekly lesson plans. So that's a common thing that I heard or read about, was just they were really, parents felt like they needed to know exactly what was going on. The daily was just too overwhelming. Having a weekly and a checklist would be helpful. Training for parents on how to use the platforms. That was a repeated over and over again comment. And more Zoom meetings and one-on-one with teachers. Many parents indicated or commented that that larger group was difficult, that it was much more manageable and easy and not as distracting. And then scheduling was something that I also saw, that if they had more kids in a household, that if they had the same meeting times going on, say with an older kid and a younger kid, it was very distracting in trying to manage that as well. So having parents pick the Zoom times. So I thought that was a good comment and interesting to put into that perspective too. In your opinion, what is the best part of our school district's virtual learning program? There were 116 individual responses. The most common response was the appreciation of the communication and connections between staff and students' families. Over 23% of responses were related to this. Almost 13% stated the best part was the online apps or platforms used. And the third common statement was 9% mentioned the flexibility of the teachers, paras working with their children. And the last question that we had asked, if COVID restrictions are still in place in the fall, what kind of educational setting and routine can you imagine being the ideal for your family? There were 120 individual responses on this one, and the top suggestions for the education setting if COVID restrictions are still in place are as follows. Virtual learning was repeatedly said over and over again. Continuing the same, but with consistent routines, expectations, and more hands-on activities, not paper, pencil activities. It sounded like more hands-on activities. And the other top suggestion was half and half virtual and half in school in a blended format. And that's the end of that presentation. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Missy, and everybody, the teachers and the administration, for getting on this and doing this. I really appreciate it. And then Missy putting it into the presentation like this is really great. I really appreciate it a lot.
Yes.
Thank you, Missy. It was awesome. It was great to get that feedback. Yeah, it's definitely helpful information. And then I learned today as well on a conversation with somebody that DPI is going to be sending out some guidance coming next week, May 20 or June 22nd, I'm sorry. So I'm excited to hear that and see what that guidance entails. And it sounds like it's revolving around this instructional piece along with committee work and kind of how DPI is looking for all schools to kind of come together. So that'll be exciting to see what DPI has to put out with that. That's coming up, like I said, June 22nd.
Thank you so much, Missy. And I would encourage, I think this is really instructive for us, and hopefully it will, and the response rate you got is absolutely phenomenal. And so hopefully that will encourage us, the administration, to do more of this kind of thing going forward, as far as surveying our parents and students and teachers and, on all sorts of things.
Yeah, I can't thank the teachers enough for their effort, for the, like I said, the quick turnaround that we needed, and all hands needed to be on deck for this situation, and they jumped on it and were creative too, because some parents really didn't feel comfortable giving responses or sharing their viewpoint. And so teachers put links out on their individual Facebook pages so that they had so it could be anonymous. And yeah, so teachers were really creative and helpful in that sense to honor and respect parents' responses. And so that was extremely helpful too. And that they were willing to continue and reach out to them up until Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Teachers were still making phone calls and touching base with everyone.
Well, thank them for us, please.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I just wanted to add a big thank you to Missy and Shelley for working with the staff and for putting together this survey with parents and staff. And I also want to say that about a month ago, as I attended the statewide meetings, virtual learning, blended programming in the fall wasn't a big topic, but now it is. It's apparent that parents will send their kids to a virtual learning program in the fall. Don't know particularly what grade levels it'll be majority of it at, but we do know statewide that parents have come forward and said, basically, if COVID is still out there, there's no vaccine, they will look for a virtual learning program. So it's definitely, it was awakening for our staff, our teachers that are on board with this. They're willing to come in this summer to work hard. We know that we have to have a good virtual program because our area districts are very competitive. Our area districts are also working on a virtual program. So we definitely know now that this is of importance, and we're ready to start working on it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. It sounds like that what you're saying is that there might be competition for open enrollment, depending on how good your virtual program is.
There's definitely that mark to it, Glenn. And right now it's I'll leave it there. It's going to be very competitive. We just have to be ready to go. And the sooner the better, then we can start communicating this out to parents. Missy and Shelley are aware of that. Our BEA president, Allie's on board tonight. And it's an all systems go. We got to get up and running on this stuff.
And driver's education.
And driver's ed.
Are you? Good? No, you're not. It's your volume. Speakers. Did you get it? Oh, there we go. 8.1, adjourn to executive session in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.85. We have a number of items. The thanks day of 6-8 alternative ed teacher, special ed aide, physical therapist, athletic director, discuss the school psych position, food service director compensation, educator effectiveness, staff update, request from the BEA, consider covering cost of health insurance, increase compensation for summer reentry planning, paid time off rollover request, compensation for teaching staff, non-affiliated and support staff.
Motion. Go on executive.
I will move we go into executive session to discuss those items.
Libby, can you make sure to send me a link too, because I have to be there today.
Yes.
I can't hear anybody else.
Motion. Go on executive.
Oh, never mind. We both had our volume off.
Okay, I can send you a link, Randy.
Thank you.
Second it.
You did.
So we leave this meeting.
No, don't. You gotta take a roll call vote, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll second it then. But we do need a roll call, please, Linda.
Nicole Boyd?
Yes.
Debbie Knopf?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Larry Derrigan?
Yes.
Magdalene Dale?
Yes.
Esme Martinson?
I'm a yes also. All right, meet you guys in executive.
For the rest of you who are not board members, this session will